Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of Bold Predictions here at Inside Nebraska. We got Steve Marik, Greg Smith with me. I'm Zack Carpenter. And today, obviously, boys, we're previewing Michigan game, a game that Matt Rhule has made the message clear. He wants this team to treat it like a prize fight, like a boxing fight, right here in the ring at Memorial Stadium, as Omar Brown said on Tuesday. So just to open it up, Steve, any initial thoughts on what we're going to see Saturday?
It's going to be a great day in Lincoln. I mean, Husker fans are going to show up. The city's going to be buzzing. It's going to be an awesome time. This seems like a game that you'd want at night under the lights when things get crazy, but 2:30 will do, I guess. But yeah, I'm excited for this one. I'm excited mostly to see Tony White's defense and see how for real it really is, at least physically, at least physical wise, because, the big talk is Michigan's defensive and offensive lines, and just how is Nebraska's D-line going to match up with Michigan's O-line, which is just filled with fourth and fifth year guys, veteran dudes up there who have been playing football there forever. Two Stanford Cardinal transfers as well. They're doing a good job. So it's I don't know. I'm really excited for this one.
Big games in Lincoln are always fun, right? Like,
Yep.
Even if they don't go Nebraska's way. For Husker fans, at the end of the day, these days are always fun. I feel like every year there's one or two of these that you get really hyped for, and you can't help but be excited for the game. They're going to have a bunch of recruits in. I think almost all of their commits will be in town as well, including Jagori Barney and Kewan Lacey, who I have to shout out because every time someone asks me about them, it feels like weekly now about those guys. So yeah, it'll be a fun time. I think that it'll be some sort of measuring stick for this current Nebraska football team to see where they are in comparison to a top 3 team in the country in Michigan, a program that I feel like if and when Nebraska gets rolling under Matt Rhule, it's going to look a lot like what this Michigan team rolling in here looks like. So I think that you get a little bit of a glimpse into the future, hopefully, but also hopefully you can hang with them as well.
Yeah, it feels like there's not as much like excitement or thrill like leading up to the game generating from the fan base and just overall. But I feel like once game day hits, once it is actually about to be kickoff, once the ball actually does kick off, I feel like that's going to change. I feel like the excitement level is going to pick up once we're actually on game day. Speaking of game day, you guys want a weather report? Of course you do. Of course you do. We love weather around here. No rain expected. It's supposed to be mostly sunny skies. 94 degrees is the high, 69 the low.
It's going to be pretty hot out there for the first time in a while, right? I mean, it hasn't been like mid-90s here lately.
No, it's been cool, man. Out here in the quarters, fall is peeking its head around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I wore a hoodie yesterday, so we got that fall weather coming up. Starting to feel like Saturdays in Nebraska, and then Saturday this time around will be a little bit of a diversion from that. But weather shouldn't be a factor. It wasn't a factor really last week against Louisiana Tech when we expected that it could be, except for the lightning delay, which
that was kind of big.
Steve can
it was multiple, mostly big.
Up until that point, Nebraska controlled the game, and then the lightning delay factored into like how long the game lasted, how long the experience was.
Yeah, how everybody was shaking their head at that.
Yeah, and then after the delay, we saw the things just sort of grinded away. Like Nebraska's defense had just come off that fourth and one stop, and then they allowed over the next 11 offensive plays, Louisiana Tech had 1 for 35 yards, but beyond that, the other 10 plays went for 3 yards total. So Nebraska's defense had started putting their foot down. The offense gave them the distance they needed, and then once we came back from the delay, it was like, all right, let's just kind of get through this. But the weather didn't have an actual effect on the game play itself, like on the field, like because of the rain or anything like that. So shouldn't be any effects like that this week. We got the number 2 team in the country coming in. I have some thoughts, but we'll once we swing it around to me, I'll lay down some things. But Steve, we'll start with you first up. What's your bold prediction for this the marquee game of the week, honestly, of the weekend in the Big Ten?
Yeah, so my bold prediction is Nebraska getting a turnover, and it's going to come from Omar Brown, the excellent safety from the Huskers. Omar, every single game this season, I feel like Omar has flashed, and in a good way. He picked off that pass in the season opener at Minnesota. He's been a really strong run fitting safety in the box. He's defended the pass well. He's had some breakups, and I think that he's going to pick off JJ McCarthy on a deep post to Roman Wilson. Let's get oddly specific, like I did last week with my failed Thomas Fidone prediction.
But, he got one though. He got a touchdown.
He did.
You get a quarter of a point, man.
I'm not going to take I'm not taking credit for that, but I needed a little corner route on the 5-yard line, I guess, 6-yard line, I think. But yeah, so my bold prediction is Omar Brown picking off JJ McCarthy on an underthrown deep post route. So he'll lead the defense with 2 interceptions after Michigan's over.
Nice. So I like that. And I think you're totally right. Like Omar Brown has played really well. Like, and I almost feel like now it's weird to even say Omar Brown has played well without saying Deshaun Singleton is also playing well, because you just think of them together.
They're attached at the hip, just like Teddy Prohaska and Luke Lindenmeyer.
Yeah, absolutely. And Omar talked about that kind of in his presser yesterday about how they kind of talked late nights last year about how cool it would be for them to play together. So that's been awesome to be able to see that kind of come to fruition for those guys who had promised prior to this year and seeing that come to fruition now. But my prediction has nothing to do with either of those guys or the defense at all. It is the much talked about quarterback situation, which I think I may have gone with a quarterback prediction last week. I can't remember if that was on video or in the written part about Harburg and Sims.
It was on the video. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Sims
thanks.
and Harburg.
So, I can't even make up a way that Sims thing could count for any type of point when he came in after the helmet came off. I think that people would like to forget about that play. So anyway, Heinrich Harburg this week, he is now Nebraska's leading rusher and carries total for the season, which is incredible. Last week, I had it pulled up here. Last week, he had 19 carries against Louisiana Tech. The week before that, 21 carries against Northern Illinois. But my bold prediction is actually that this week he'll be less than both of those. I think that this week he'll be under 18 carries total for the game. And part of that is due to, I think they're going to have to try to find a way to get some handoff run game going. Anthony Grant is going to have to carry the ball. It's just going to have to be what it is. I think that he has shown that he's more than serviceable and a good player. I shouldn't even say more than serviceable. He's a good player. And then also you're going to have to find someone else. There needs to be another guy, whether or not you're going to get Emmett Johnson up and running. He can go the right way on plays. I don't know if Quentin Ives is ready for all of this yet. Josh Fleeks has now moved into the running back room. Maybe he takes a handful of carries as well. Can you get that jet sweep to Billy Kemp again a couple of times? I don't know, something. But you have got to bring that number down of carries for Heinrich Harburg, because he's going to take hits. Like, the unfortunate thing about this for their offensive line is that when he drops back to pass, let's say he only goes back to pass 12 times, I mean, he's going to be hit 6 of those. And so that's just the unfortunate reality right now. So less than 18 rushing attempts for Heinrich Harburg in this game against Big Blue on Saturday.
I'm going with an offensive bold prediction for the Huskers. And you're looking at the Michigan schedule and some of the numbers for them offensively, which has nothing to do with my bold prediction, but I took the time to look them up, so I'm going to share them with you guys and throw them out here. I mean, Michigan is 53rd in the country in scoring offense, 69th in passing offense, 49th in rushing offense. So that's a little tease for when I bring it back around for the final score prediction. But on defense, they've been I mean, again, not exactly a gauntlet of opponents with Bowling Green, UNLV, Eastern Michigan, and Rutgers last week, but they are 12th in the country in rushing defense with 80 yards allowed per game. Nebraska's number 1, obviously, 46.2. And their scoring defense, they are also number 1 in the country with less than 6 points allowed per game. And I think they're 7th. They're 7th, and I just looked it up. They're 7th in passing yards allowed with just 151. 151 allowed per game. So this defense is salty. I mean, we talk about Nebraska's nasty defense, and Michigan has one itself. So I don't feel like, I think it's going to be similar to Minnesota, and Omar Brown said the same thing, that's going to be similar in physicality and style. And I don't think Nebraska will be able to move the ball very effectively or consistently against Michigan. But I do think when I'm going with this bold prediction, I think they'll be able to find a gap for one explosive play. I think that's going to be the key to hanging in there for Nebraska, one of the keys to hanging in there for Nebraska. And we saw them finally pop a couple last week. They had Heinrich Harburg for 30-some yards, and then a 43-yard carry, a 72-yard touchdown, and then a 75-yarder that got called back, and Anthony Grant, 70-yarder that got called back. So, it was against Louisiana Tech defense. They're nothing like Michigan, but at least we saw that explosiveness. At least we saw them come to life a little bit with some of those explosives that Matt Rule wants this offense to have from time to time in a pretty much a ground and pound ball control option offense that this has become. But all that to say, I have Anthony Grant popping off for a 50-plus yard touchdown run, and if he doesn't, that's I think against a defense that against a defense that I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball against. I think that's going to be the avenue for keeping it close up until the second half, which is what I think they'll do. But if they don't get that, I think it could be similar to last year's game, where sort of a boat race where Michigan just methodically just imposes their will on Nebraska and that defense. So looking forward to seeing that. And that kind of leads into final score predictions of what I think is going to happen, but we'll bring it back around to me later. We're at right now, Michigan is a 17.5 point favorite with a 39.5 point over under. So the
very Big Ten.
Yeah, that's the thing is based on the lines, they expect this game to be a comfortable win for Michigan, but not necessarily a thrashing, and a low scoring one at that. And they expect Michigan to get out with a like that stereotypical Big Ten road win. So I'm going to stop rambling. Steve, what's your final score prediction?
Yeah, I had a lot of trouble with this one. I had a lot of trouble making predictions anyway, but this one, let's go Michigan 31, Nebraska 13. Like Zach said, I really like Michigan's defense. They're going to throw two big defensive tackles out there, two edge guys, two really good inside linebackers. And then behind those two inside linebackers, it's Ernest Hausman, who has over 100 snaps on defense. So he is playing. He's backing up two all Big Ten caliber inside linebackers. So it looks like the future is bright for Ernest Hausman. But I think Nebraska likes their own set of linebackers too, and how Tony White is using a lot of them for his own scheme. So that's good stuff there. But yeah, I think Michigan gets out of here 31-13. And Zach, I like what you said about the explosive plays. I mean, that is kind of a benefit of doing the option stuff that Satterfield has been a fan of. You get an athlete like Harburg, get him the ball, get him running east, west, and then making a decision and planting his foot in the ground and going. I think that gives you at least it gives you the attempt to get a big play out of there. And he's shown that he can do that. Let's see Heinrich pitch the ball correctly.
Man, you stole the words right out of my mouth. I was waiting to say that.
That's how I see it happening for Anthony Grant on a option pitch. I know that, yeah, Steve, you can tease your other bold prediction for a written one on the site, but the option pitch, I think that is the best avenue for my own of Anthony Grant popping one for 50 plus.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that as many option runs as Heinrich Harburg has had through 2 games as a starter, he hasn't pitched it once. And he's had the opportunity. He's been given the correct read to give it on those meshes, on the zone read runs, or to pitch on those east-west speed options, and he just misreads it. But the thing about Heinrich is he's athletic to make it work, and that's what his 73-yard touchdown run against Louisiana Tech was. It was a misread. He should have pitched that ball. He got the pitch read, but he just broke the tackle and ran the other way for a touchdown. So that's the benefit of having Heinrich out there, is he's athletic enough to do that stuff. But at some point you think it's going to come back and bite him in the butt, but it hasn't yet, I guess. So, but I mean, that's what you're going to get when you play Michigan. You're going to be getting a better defense with 4 or 5-star guys out there. So we'll see if it works this time around.
Yeah, it's just going to be so interesting. I am like, and I think, I know we don't, it's weird because I feel like we're not allowed to give Marcus Satterfield credit around here, not around here on this podcast or this group, but like just in Lincoln. I feel like people are so quick to throw shade at Marcus Satterfield. But one thing I think that he needs and deserves a lot of credit for, hey man, this isn't the offense they came here wanting to run. Like, they had no designs to be running a power spread option attack like a couple of games into the season, right? Like, they wanted to run more of a pro style. They can also take shots vertically, like, and it just hasn't happened. So a lot of the times fans get really upset about coaches not making adjustments and playing to the strengths of their team. They're definitely doing that. So he on offense, so he needs to get credit for that. All that being said, it's going to be tough sledding this weekend. I do think that it's closer than some people think. I don't think that I guess it has the potential to get ugly, but I just don't see that. I think Nebraska's defense and playing at home will help them out. I think Michigan still wins it. I got them winning 28-10. I think it's a game that's closer than that score even indicates. But I would definitely hammer the unders in this one. Like, man, you'd be stunned at a lot of points either way in this one. But yeah, 28-10 Michigan, and kind of a tough day in Lincoln.
Yeah, first off, on your comments about Satterfield, I mean, that's sort of what comes with the territory, as the saying goes. That's what the money's for. When you
especially at OC.
Yep, we bring in 2 guys, OC and DC, and Satterfield and Tony White, who are both the first $1 million coordinators in program history, and then you see what Tony White's doing with the defense already, and then the offense is struggling so much out of the gate. It's like some antsiness, some justified antsiness and frustration, I think comes out when you see that. But like you said, I think he does deserve some credit for the adjusting on the fly and making making lemonade out of lemons, so to speak.
That was the nice version of that. I like it. I felt you censor there. I like it.
Yeah, I couldn't find a good enough metaphor, so I'll go with the cliche. But real quick, I know I've rambled so much here, so I'm gonna quickly go with my score prediction. I mean, I have Michigan winning 34-7, so slight over and Michigan covering. But I think, like I was talking about earlier, and this will be a tease, you can read up my entire thoughts at InsideNebraska.com on the written bowl predictions, which nice little tease there. But I don't think that the game is going to be, if it's 34-7, the way I see it playing out, I think Nebraska will hold it close. They'll be in the game before Michigan pulls away late. So 34-7, but it's not. I think it's going to be it could be one of those classic games of the final score is not indicative of how competitive it was, which would, I know they won 34-3 last year, but that game was, I feel like that final score is like perfectly encapsulating of how the game went. So I think it'll be similar score this year, but not a similar style of game. So that's what we all think. I'll open up the floor. Any last rapid fire comments from you guys?
Yeah, I'm just going to echo what you two said about Satterfield. It's almost getting to the point where at the end of the year, we're going to look at and try to just evaluate Tony White and Marcus Satterfield. And I almost want to say like Satterfield should get a pass for this first season because of what his situation is. This is not the offense that he thought he was going to be running. He lost Xavier Betts, who was the highest ceiling receiver that he had in the program in the offseason. There is no threat behind, Xavier Betts and the wide receiver room. I just don't think anybody in that room right now scares a defense. He lost his top 2 rushers in Gabe Ervin and Ramir Johnson. He has 2 quarterbacks who have shown that they're much better runners than accurate passers. I mean, some of these passes that Heinrich Harburg is throwing to Thomas Fidone, Thomas is going to get killed out there because he's needing to fully extend with his 6, and Thomas is 6'6". And he's needing to fully extend to grab some of these passes from Heinrich Harburg. So neither Heinrich or Jeff are that accurate of throwers. At least they haven't shown to be. consistently accurate in the pass game. And everybody knows the offensive line situation. It's been uneven, to say the best. Sometimes they look good. Other times they're very, very leaky in the run game and pass protection. So it's like, look at the talent that Marcus Satterfield has on offense, and it's the stats first year. So that's obviously going to be a big emphasis, is getting more playmakers on the field. I mean, you have Tommy Hill, who is a corner by trade, starting to play receiver as a two-way guy at Nebraska. I mean, that's dire stuff. Just a bad situation for the Huskers on offense when you have to be plucking guys who don't even play the position that they haven't played since. I know Tommy played it last year a little bit, but because he started and got benched and it wasn't clicking at corner. Before that, he hadn't been a receiver since Edgewater High School days in Orlando. So there's just not a lot of stuff to work with. So what you want to do is just like pack things in, run some option football, hand the ball off, and hope to grind out 3 to 4 yards against these guys. So I don't want to say it's a complete wash like for Marcus Satterfield and if he was a good hire or a bad hire. I just say like we haven't really learned anything about Marcus Satterfield yet, because just to credit to him, he's doing what good coaches do, and he's adjusting to what he has to work with, and what right now he has to work with isn't that much, honestly, right?
I'm gonna jump in here real quick, Greg, and also lost IGC at the first game of the season, so
and then
another
didn't
one.
get the way, and then Gilbert did.
Yeah,
and then the whole
happened.
Eric Gilbert situation. I mean, that's it's hit after hit with the
one point you made about the getting a couple of receivers. Yeah, I think that's exactly what's going to happen in the offseason. I mean, we're looking further down the road during a bold predictions podcast, but it's fine. I love the path that we're opening up here. Is, I mean, you saw what South Carolina did in Satterfield's last season, second season, and last season as OC. They went to the transfer portal. They got three different guys, and one of them hit with Antoine Wells, Juice Wells, and he's
from the FCS ranks,
and his numbers were right up there with what Trey Palmer's numbers were last year. So I mean, I think Nebraska is at least one, but probably two receivers in the portal next year to try and add some explosiveness that's ready now, because they have all those young receivers that there's a lot of bright spots and a lot of future optimism in that room. Sounds like they're just still not ready yet as they develop them and bring them along. But Greg, final thoughts.
Yeah, just real quick on the Satterfield note to make this the Marcus Satterfield bold
right.
predictions.
This evolved into a podcast about Satterfield.
After all of the stuff, though, all the hand-wringing about Marcus Satterfield, and I do agree with Steve largely about, hey, we can give him a pass. It can be a wash for this year. But like he said, though, the mark of a good coach is to adjust, and they figured out something. They are currently number one in the Big Ten at 234.75 yards per game. That is not just inflated, because they are also number one in yards per carry at 5.52. And before you say, oh, what about the competition? We just read off Michigan's schedule. You know who bums that they've been playing. So it's not like, these other teams are playing like actual good opponents, right? Sorry, with all due respect to whoever they played. Like, it's just it's an interesting situation, right? Like, so I want to see going forward, and this is not, as Zack mentioned, the offseason, so I'll mention the rest of the year. Like, I want to see, like, does that continue outside of this Michigan game? This Michigan game is such a unique situation to everyone else that they're going to play on this schedule. And so I'm just curious to see if that's for real moving forward after this game. But no, that's my only thought in the Marcus Satterfield bold predictions.
Yeah, this is barometer week for Nebraska. We talked about it, Greg and I did, on the rapid recap on Tuesday, that this is sort of, I mean, no matter how good or bad it is, it's going to be a test, a barometer to see where Nebraska is and just how far away or how close, if they can pull off some surprising moves and either keep it super close or somehow win on Saturday. They're going to see how far away or how close they are to that Michigan blueprint that Rule said he wants Nebraska to emulate with his program going forward. So that's going to wrap it up here today. I know I actually like the conversation we went down, and we have more stuff on Inside Nebraska about all of that, about this game. We got more final score predictions and college football week 5 picks that you can all check out at InsideNebraska.com. We'll be back here after the game Saturday to break it all down. We'll be on the site to break it all down. So I encourage you guys to subscribe to InsideNebraska.com and like this video and subscribe to the Inside Nebraska YouTube channel. Get those videos dropped directly into your feed. And we'll be back here with more post-game coverage and all of the press conference videos after Nebraska-Michigan. So for Steve Marik and Greg Smith, I'm Zack Carpenter, and we'll catch you guys again next time.